Welcome to the Options Talk 5. Today we'll talk about implied volatility, IV rank and IV percentile, and what is the significance of each of them. So this is a standard disclaimer. Everything that you do related to trading involves substantial risk. So please do your due diligence. So what is implied volatility? Implied volatility is the expected volatility in the stock's future price as implied by the stock's option prices. So that is why it's called implied volatility, because it is implied by options prices. So implied volatility is expressed as annualized one standard deviation range of a stock price. It is calculated using Black-Scholes formula. Now let's take an example. So here I took two stocks which have a very similar price as well as similar lot size, so that there is a proper comparison. Here are the prices, the at the money call strike and put strike prices. And if you look at them, the combined price of a put and call option of DLF is more than the combined price of the Exide India. So what it means? It means the implied volatility of DLF is higher compared to the implied volatility of Exide India. So higher option prices means there is higher extrinsic value in the option. So it means higher implied volatility. So the implied volatility is calculated from the options premium. So if there is more extrinsic premium in the option, it means the implied volatility is higher. Similarly, lower options prices means lower extrinsic value and therefore lower implied volatility. So how implied volatility is calculated? So it is calculated using Black-Scholes formula. So in order to calculate the IV of an option, we input the stock price, strike price, and days to expiry and risk-free rate of interest. And using this formula, we derive the implied volatility. And from the implied volatility of all the options, then we calculate the average weighted implied volatility for the stock or the index. So that's how the implied volatility is calculated. So let's look at some context of implied volatility. Pricing of options is a result of simple supply and demand concept. See, options are bought by market participants either to hedge or speculate the price movement of the underlying stock or index. Impending news, earning results, or some unexpected event environment drives demand for option prices higher, resulting in higher option prices and therefore higher IV and higher expected movement. For example, some news related to FDA for the pharma companies, or the news surrounding the RBI interest rate cuts, or the news surrounding the elections outcome. So these are all events, they influence the option prices because there's a demand for the options, whether for speculation or hedging purpose. And during non-event market environment, there is low or no demand for options, resulting in lower option prices and therefore lower IV and lower expected movement. So one thing to remember is that a higher IV implies that there's a large move. The market participants are expecting a larger move in the underlying stock or index. And lower IV means the market is indicating that there will not be a huge move in the stock. So how we know that implied volatility, so how much the implied volatility is implying that there will be a strong move or not? To understand that, we have to understand the relationship between implied volatility and standard deviation. So what is standard deviation? This is a unit that measures how occurrences or the events deviate from the mean or the average. For example, if you plot a chart of the daily returns of the stock or index, like 1% return, 2% return, and so forth on the x-axis, and the number of those returns, okay, over an year or 10 years, whatever. If you plot the number of occurrences of those returns, then you will get a bell curve. Okay, this is called normal standard distribution. Okay, so what does normal standard distribution tells us is that 68% of those occurrences, okay, 68% of those occurrences, the daily returns, will happen within this one standard deviation range. Okay, minus one standard deviation and plus one standard deviation. And 95% of those occurrences will happen within this two standard deviation range. Okay. So what is the relationship? The standard deviation of a particular stock can be quantified by examining the implied volatility of stocks options. Let's say I know the implied volatility of a particular stock, then I can be able to derive the standard deviation of that particular stock. So plus one standard deviation of a stock price is calculated by stock price plus stock price into implied volatility. So stock price into implied volatility is one standard deviation, and one standard deviation of a stock price is stock price plus this standard deviation. This is plus one standard deviation, and minus one standard deviation is you simply subtract the standard deviation from the stock price. So that will give you the 1 year expected standard deviation range, minus one standard deviation to plus one standard deviation. Now, this is 1 year standard deviation. Now, if I want to calculate for 30-day standard deviation for next 30 days, you simply take this stock price and implied volatility and then multiply that with square root of the number of days for which you want to calculate the standard deviation divided by total number of days in the year. So that will give you the next 1 month or 30 days standard deviation range. So let's look at an example. The same DLF and Exide India example we'll take. So this is the implied volatility of those stocks. Now this is 1 year standard deviation range calculation. So this is the stock price plus or minus both, and then you stock price into implied volatility. So this is implied volatility percentage. So this is a decimal. So that will give you 1 year standard deviation range, which will be
just one question, Raghunath.
Yeah.
You're talking about standard deviation for the year, but you are the basis is this month's July options, right?
Yes, this is based on July options.
So only this July options are good enough to calculate the range. I mean, the options, the implied volatility might change in August.
Yes, I mean, yeah, this is an instantaneous calculation of those things.
So that range also might change next month.
Yes. So if you have if you have longer dated options, then that would be better. But since we don't have longer dated options, this is the best we can do in this case.
Right.
So we are implying it basically.
Correct.
So this will give you a 1 year standard deviation range. Based on this, what market is saying is that so within 1 year, the market will stay within this range in the next 1 year for 68 with a probability of 68.2%, because that is the standard deviation range probability, right? So similarly, the calculation for the Exide India, this will be the 1 year standard deviation range. So now expected move is same as the one standard deviation, but this is for specific number of days. So in this case, let's say I want to know what is the expected move for the next 32 days, that is till the expiry of July month. Then I simply substitute 32 days to expiry divided by 365 and square root of that and multiply with the annual standard deviation range. And that will give you the expected move in the 32 days, next 32 days. So it is saying that there is a 68.2% probability that it will stay within this range in the next 32 days. And you can also calculate for next 1 day, 2 days, like that. Now, for example, if you do a payoff chart for an option strategy, you will get this based on the number of days to expiry. You get this 1 standard deviation range and 2 standard deviation range on the Opstra platform, for example. Now, just by looking at the payoff, you can say that this short strangle strategy has a probability of winning by greater than 68.2%, right? Because the break-evens are beyond the 1 standard deviation range, right? So it will be greater than that. And similarly, if the break-evens were beyond the 2 standard deviation range, then you would have said the probability of profit for that strategy would be 95.4% or more. So that's how probability of profit is calculated. So that is the relationship between the implied volatility and standard deviation. So they're strongly linked together. So if you want to understand the probabilities of success of your option strategies, so it's important to understand this particular relationship. Okay. So now we know everything about IV. But how we will know that whether the IV is low or IV is high, right? So there should be a way of measuring or ranking it to its own past to determine whether it is high or low. So it can be calculated using two methods. One is called implied volatility rank and the other is called implied volatility percentile. So IV rank measures whether the current IV of an underlying is high or low relative to its past 1 year data. And this is the formula for IV rank. So what it does is that you simply subtract the 52-week IV low, which is 1 year IV low, from the current IV, and similarly subtract 1 year IV low from the 1 year IV high. And then you divide them and then multiply with 100. That will give you the IV rank. For example, the current IV of Nifty is 28.6 and the lowest IV in the last 1 year was 10.5 and the highest IV was 83.6. So using that formula, we can say that the current IV rank is 23.96%. Okay. Now let's look at this pictorially. So as I said here, this is the high IV, low IV, and this is the current IV. This is the India VIX, which is the volatility of the Nifty options. So now if we put a range, the IV, low IV and high IV, and we put a range of that, and then you divide it to 100 equal parts, okay, and then put the current IV there, that will give you the IV rank, okay. So it is calculating the current IV's rank in the range between low IV and high IV. Okay.
So the other method is like the percentile marks which people have in IIT and all that.
Yes, I will show also IV percentile. They're slightly different in the way they are calculated.
Okay.
So implied volatility percentile is the other method. So here it measures the percentage number of days in the past 1 year that the underlying IV has been the below the current IV. So if you look at the formula, the number of trading days the underlying IV is below current IV divided by the total number of trading days. For example, in the past 1 year, the current Indian VIX, right, which is 28.6, the India VIX was below current IV for 182 days. So 182 divided by 252 into 100. So that will give you the IV percentile. So if you look at pictorially, what we are doing is that this is 1 year data. So this is current IV and we are looking at the number of days, the total, the IV has been below the current IV. So if you put a line here and if you look at all the number of days, calculate them, there will be 182 days. So 182 divided by total number of days into 100, that will give you the IV percentile. So which one to use, IV rank or IV percentile? So as I already told you, IV rank tells you where a current IV lies relative to its IV range over last 1 year. So one of the main flaw of IV rank is that when the IV surges to an abnormally high value, which has happened currently with the coronavirus scare, all IV rank readings will be low after that, even if the IV is relatively higher. If you go back here, the IV rank, right? The current IV is still very high, right? Still very high if you compare to the major part of the year, still very high. But IV rank is saying that it's only 23.9%, right? So it is understating the IV rank in this case. So that is a major flaw of the IV rank. The reading will be very low if there is a huge volatility IV value before that. For example, current IV rank of Nifty based on VIX is 23.9, while IV percentile is still very high, 72.22. So that is why IV percentile is better at telling you the change in IV regime. So if we are saying that IV regime is changing, if it is above 50, it's very high IV, and below 50 is low IV, then IV percentile is better at telling that IV regime is changed compared to IV rank, and therefore it's a better mean reversion indicator than IV rank. So my recommendation would be go with IV percentile than IV rank. So so far that's all about implied volatility, IV rank and IV percentile. And let's look at the last week's trade idea, which was a bear call spread where we sold a out of the money call option and bought far out of the money call option. It's a risk defined trade. So we're still in this trade. We got a trade on Monday, last Monday. We're still in trade. We're almost like 200 books profit. So I think I'm still bearish on Nifty. So we'll see how it will work out. So we'll wait till next week. So if you have any more queries, so tweet to us or email us. So AP, if you don't have any more questions,
No.
please take over.
Okay, I'll take over now.
Okay.
Yeah, can you see my screen charts?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I'm starting this time. I'm going to speak on the weekly options, both Nifty as well as Bank Nifty, and the current put call ratios of various strike price of everything is weekly options. So I'll make it clear once more. For 2nd July, if you see the put call ratios from 10,000 to 10,400, 5 strike prices in between, Nifty is already 10,300 plus, and yet the put call ratio is only 1.1, so that doesn't give me too much comfort. And even 10,200 is good enough, so that will be a good support. In fact, I think the last week low was something just below 10,200. So as long as Nifty is above 10,200, it is strong. But the day it closes below 10,200, these put writers will be in trouble and they might cover. So in case on any day when Nifty closes below 10,200, that can be a good place to go short, because 10,200 right now is a good support. If that is broken, Nifty can go further lower. Though the 10,100 and 10,000 put call ratios are quite strong. 10,100 is 12 and 10,000 is 7. But that will be very interesting to see if Nifty closes below 10,200 on any day. What happens to the put call ratio on the lower strike prices? That will be something interesting to watch. If you look at Bank Nifty, that is a bit more bearish. In fact, I'm more bearish on Bank Nifty than Nifty, because if you see the 5 put call ratios for Bank Nifty for 2nd July, 21, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Right now, Bank Nifty is more than 21,500. And even the put call ratio at 21,500 is just 0.75. You can see it on the left top over here. When I take the cursor to the right, it is the current latest PCR. So 21,600, 700 is below 1. That is fine, because Bank Nifty is not at above those levels. But though Bank Nifty is above 21,500, this put call ratio is only 0.75, which is quite bearish to me. Not only 21,500, even 21,400 is just 1.06. So even that is not giving comfort. Even 21,300 is just 1.04. So that's why I said between Nifty and Bank Nifty, I think Bank Nifty is more bearish than Nifty. And in fact, Nifty has a good support. Bank Nifty has, I wouldn't be surprised if Bank Nifty goes below 21,000 quite fast, maybe on Monday or Tuesday. And 500 points move in Bank Nifty is not a big deal these days. And I think there is some bearish news on Axis Bank as well. So that can act as a big catalyst. So what happens to Bank Nifty will be very interesting. In fact, since it is a big part of Nifty as well, maybe some other sectors in Nifty, non-banking sectors might be used to give support to Nifty. Maybe energy comes to my mind because Reliance, ONGC, these stocks were a bit strong. But of course, that we have to see tomorrow. But between Nifty and Bank Nifty, Nifty is slightly bullish, not at this level, but it has support, whereas Bank Nifty doesn't have any support for the next 300, 400 points. So I wouldn't be surprised if it opens gap down tomorrow, Bank Nifty. Now, if you see the multiple open interest of 10,200, that is what I'm saying might act as a support, because right now the red line, which is the 10,200 put, is well above the green line, which is 10,200 call. And like we said, the put call ratio is more than 3. So what happens to these open interest? For it to become bearish, for it to break 10,200, the green line has to shoot up higher and the red line has to come down lower fast. So they have to cross over at some point, and that will be interesting if that happens. So this is what is the status of the indices. Now coming to some specific charts. Now this is one chart which right now is looking a bit neutral. This is a 21,500 call of Bank Nifty for 2nd July. So any move below 350 will make it very bearish, and then it can go down quite fast to maybe even 200 or lower than that. So any move below 350 is quite bearish for this call, and though it is 552 now, in fact there will be a multiple. This support is at 450 over here and 350. So all these levels will act as support, but then if they break, then Bank Nifty will become bearish. And if, like I said, if Bank Nifty opens gap down, this also might open gap down, and who knows, it might open below 350 tomorrow. That will be very interesting to watch. Now, one stock which is had a huge run up last month, Bajaj Finance. I think it went up from 2,400 to 3,000 in just 1 week. So this is a put chart of 25,000 put of Bajaj Finance. There is a anchor column over here, bearish, in the which was on Friday morning. The high is 100. So the moment the put goes above 100 with the stop loss below this low, which is 65, 66, that can be a good trade, and you'll have to trail it. I cannot say till when, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gives a moves of 100, 150 points. And this is a monthly option, so it will be a positional call. Bajaj Finance 2,500 put above 100. Then I'll go, this is one more sector which might support Nifty. This is the IT sector. In fact, that has been traditionally observed. When Bank Nifty is weak, IT is strong. And in any case, now with the result season coming, there might be a small pre-results rally in IT stocks because they are the first to declare results. So this was a huge anchor column on the TCS 2100 call on Friday morning. It went up all the way from 50 to 97 in just one column. And this is a 3% chart. So even lower, if it comes down to something like 70, 75, this can be a good long with a stop loss below 50, and this can go towards 120. So if TCS opens lower, if the call is near 70, 75 with a 25 rupee stop loss, it can give a good risk reward ratio trade. Another stock which is a bit bearish for me, Tata Steel. This is a Tata Steel 300 put, which has made something like a higher low. So this was a low which it made on Wednesday. Thursday, not much happened. On Friday, also it made a higher low, which was higher than the Wednesday low. So if it moves above 15, above this previous two highs, then it can give a good trade to maybe 20, 25, and the stop loss will be below this lowest, or maybe even the Friday low, which is 10. So it will be even this will be a good risk reward with buy above 15 with the stop loss below 10. And another stock which is I think I finished with the three trade ideas: Bajaj Finance, TCS, Bajaj Finance put, TCS call, and Tata Steel put. So you'll see that even most of the trade ideas which I have, except TCS, the other two are bearish ideas. So even this is pointing towards a bearish, at least the first 2-3 days of the week in the coming week. So, and of course, I must mention once again that these are only trade ideas which I can show from my charts. How you trade it is completely depending on your position size and your pocket size. So you should take a position only as per your money management rules, and don't go all in. And just because I have said all this can fail as well. So use the proper stop loss and use the proper position size. Yeah, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you guys.